What is going on, everybody? It's the Front, and we're here for a Monday Night Raw review for February the 14th, 2022. So, tonight is the last night for Monday Night Raw before the Elimination Chamber on Saturday in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I will not be watching that show. I have abstained from watching any of those shows. But Saturday is the Elimination Chamber. With news coming out tonight, WWE is in desperation mode. During the Monday Night Raw tonight, there was news coming from Fightful, everyone else was reporting it, that Vince McMahon is so desperate, and the ticket sales to Wrestlemania are horrendously bad, that Vince McMahon himself is going to one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin. 57-year-old Stone Cold Steve Austin, and basically begging this man to come out of retirement. Anybody who tries to justify this needs to get their head examined. Stone Cold Steve Austin has, on many occasions, said he does not have any passion to be in the wrestling ring again. He has no reason to get back inside the square circle. He has no reason to go out there and have a match. So, why would Vince McMahon, it's like, why would anyone believe Vince McMahon when it comes to, believe WWE when it comes to this? This is the problem WWE has. They fail to create big stars. What are they going to do? When you look at the lay of the land, comparing the two companies, because everyone likes to compare the two companies, AEW and WWE. Kenny Omega lost the AEW World title to Hangman Adam Page. Have you missed Kenny Omega since he's been gone? Kenny Omega took time off to go heal himself up, get his body, mind, and soul right to come back later this year and turn babyface with the Young Bucks, as they will be going up against the Paragon, or former Undisputed Era. But he goes away. You got Hangman as world champion. You got Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, who just recently returned. You got CM Punk. You got MJF, Jungle Boy. You got Christian Cage helping out the Jurassic Express on their way. You got all this talent, and a lot of talent that you can literally sit there and they can be main event players. They can go out there and give you a match of the night any fucking night. Look at Monday Night Raw. Who do you have? If Brock Lesnar's not on the show, it is a pitiful show. SmackDown. What happens if Roman gets injured? Who replaces Roman Reigns? Nobody. Drew McIntyre could have been that guy who could have been a second in this company, that if Roman Reigns goes down, you put everything on Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre can carry the flag of WWE for as far as they want him to go. But they butchered him and busted him bad, to the point where he just doesn't feel like a big enough a deal. Drew McIntyre in NXT could have been someone who came up to Monday Night Raw, it's SmackDown, and been able to carry the brands, but WWE had to Vince McMahon had to put his spin on everything. So, going around back to Stone Cold. Yeah, Stone Cold was the biggest name, if not one of the biggest names, in WWE from 1997 or 98 to 2003, when he retired. And I know he stuck around for the rest of 2003, some of 2004, some of 2005. But in ring, he was the biggest name for a couple of years. He retired from in ring after 2003, losing to The Rock at WrestleMania, putting him over, and letting The Rock go on to do his whole thing in Hollywood. And WWE has tried multiple times. This isn't the first time that they've done this, where they've tried to get Stone Cold back for a match. Of course, the most famous one, or infamous one, was the match at Taboo Tuesday, when JR got fired, and Stone Cold was coming back to fake coach at Taboo Tuesday for the right to bring JR back, and Stone Cold was supposed to lose that match. So, yeah, there was that. But the biggest thing, the biggest problem with all of this is WWE fails to create new stars. It is so bad that Shane McMahon, the plans for Shane McMahon is that he was going to be a top match, whether it was with Austin Theory, or Seth Rollins, or AJ Styles, or whoever it was going to be. He was going to be one of the top marquee matches on the show, because for Vince McMahon, his son still is a top marquee match. But with him out of the picture, what does WWE have left? Nothing. They don't take the time to build somebody. Like a Finn Balor could have been somebody if you actually pushed him the way he should have been pushed, like he was in NXT Part 1 and Part 2. He could have been somebody you see as a big-time main event guy, who could be called upon to have that big marquee match at WrestleMania. But Vince McMahon does not see any big plans for Finn Balor anymore. He's just going to be a guy who gets a guy like Austin Theory up, or anybody else, even though Dolph Ziggler still occupies that position. So, WWE just don't have the talent. Again, if Roman Reigns, between now and WrestleMania, Roman Reigns goes down, they are fucked. They are fucked. They got nobody. Who the fuck are you going to put in a match with Brock Lesnar and feel like you're going to sell a big match on the main roster right now? Nobody. You had a guy, his name was Keith Lee, who could have been a guy who would have been able to main event WrestleMania with a Brock Lesnar. Could have been a guy who main events a WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns if need be. Aaron Cross, I don't know so much about him, if he would have been one to do that. Ricochet, if you would build this guy up and actually give him the love and care he should be as a star, as a talent, could be somebody headlining pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view for you, and yet you throw him away and you use him as a guy who is going to job to the stars that you're trying to push. And they can't look at NXT and go, I want Braun Breaker, I want Carmelo Hayes, and I want this guy, and we're going to bring them up and we're going to put them in these big spots. They're not ready. Tommaso Ciampa was on commentary tonight for the Dolph Ziggler match, because I guess that's going to be his call-up to the main roster, is feuding with Dolph Ziggler, because we all know how well that goes. But it's just the fact that WWE decides they're going to go, like Vince McMahon is like, damn, I have Roman versus Brock. That's a big match. That's obviously going to be a big match. Title for title, more than likely. Charlotte versus Ronda. They see that as a big match, even though it's not. And that's the biggest matches right there. So Vince McMahon feels, because this is the most stupendous WrestleMania in history to them, they need one more stupendous caliber match. So, with the way things are going, it looks like we're going to get Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, if Austin wants to have a match. For all we know, Stone Cold, of course, I figured was going to have some kind of role at WrestleMania where he'd come in and probably do something like with the New Day. I think the last time they went to Texas, where him, Foley, and Shawn Michaels came out, and he stunned one member, I think it was Xavier Woods, after like starting to do a little bit of a dance with him. Yeah, I figured we'd see something like that. And they could still that could just be what we see with Stone Cold Steve Austin. They might even announce, he's like, no, I don't feel like wrestling, but I'll be the host. That I can see them doing too, where Stone Cold is the host of WrestleMania. I would not put past WWE on that either. That Stone Cold is the host of WrestleMania. I can see that going any way. That could be where we go with this. But yeah, Vince McMahon is desperate. So desperate that he doesn't have enough names on the company's payroll to build WrestleMania around, that he needs to go and find a way to back the Brinks truck up to Stone Cold Steve Austin, or whatever he has to do to get Stone Cold Steve Austin to have one more match. And honestly, I hope Austin just turns him down and says, listen, Vince, I can't do it. It's just, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is Vince going to do when Goldberg's not around, ain't able to come back in anymore? That if, well, Taker's not coming back anytime soon, hopefully. What is Vince going to do when all these big names from yesteryear? Is he going to, because he ousted his son-in-law from NXT, is he going to go and swallow his pride and go beg Triple H to have one more match at WrestleMania so he can have that nostalgia match somehow? It's just, I don't get how this company expects to survive much longer relying on Stone Cold, relying on Goldberg, relying on The Rock, who is teased to wrestle Roman Reigns next year and in SoFi Stadium. Just so many things. It's like this company, Vince McMahon, and of course news came out that I guess Vince McMahon feels that WWE product right now is just fine and nothing needs to be fixed. If that was the case, Vince, why are you going and begging Stone Cold Steve Austin to come back for a match? I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. But that is the news right there, is that Stone Cold is pretty much being begged by Vince McMahon himself to come back for one more match. Will it happen? Maybe. Will Stone Cold be... I figure Stone Cold will be at WrestleMania. For fuck's sake, it's in his home state. He's from Texas. So, it would not surprise me if we see Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. Possibly, and I'd say the more likely is he'll be the host of WrestleMania. Which, if that happens, then that's fine. That's a good spot for him because they want to have that big name. And you shouldn't be wasting matches on somebody like Stone Cold Steve Austin when you need to worry about getting the talent you have now over for people to care. They had a women's gauntlet match for the first 5 women of the Elimination Chamber to see who would enter in last. And honestly, majority of that match, it felt like that gauntlet match, the crowd was dead. They did not give 2 shits on the majority of that match. And we know who is the 6th member of the Women's Elimination Chamber match, so my idea of Lita possibly winning the title at the pay-per-view, at the show this weekend, and then Becky getting into the Elimination Chamber and winning it is out the window. But honestly, if you think about WWE, they just had Brock Lesnar lose the WWE Championship and then go into the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble, so I wouldn't put it past WWE to pull something like that 2 months in a row. But thankfully, that's not what's going to happen. The leader obviously is going to lose. So we started Monday Night Raw off in another cringe-worthy, awful segment where Bobby Lashley and MVP come out. They cut a promo on the Elimination Chamber and the fact that he has, and the fact that MVP feels that Bobby Lashley, because he's almighty, has a 100% chance to retain the championship at the Elimination Chamber. Out comes Seth Rollins, out comes Austin Theory, out comes Matt Riddle in his toga, out comes AJ Styles, all talking about how they're going to win the Elimination Chamber. Then, after all that's done, and Bobby Lashley says that he is going to he's going to brutalize Brock Lesnar inside the Elimination Chamber, Brock Lesnar finally comes down. Takes his jacket off, takes his hat off, puts him on Austin Theory, and then he and Bobby Lashley square up, and everybody just backs away. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this just shows you that WWE only cares about 2 people in this match. Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. It would not surprise me if the final 2 in the Elimination Chamber are Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, because that's the only 2 people in this match that fucking matter. Anybody predicting AJ Styles to win the WWE Championship, you can throw that prediction out the window. It's not happening. So, they had the stare down. In the back, you can hear Seth Rollins asking Austin Theory, "What are you, a coat rack?" So it's making fun of him. Austin Theory. Poor old Austin Theory decides he's going to do the stupidest thing, and I think, I believe Jimmy Smits or Byron Saxton said that on commentary. The stupidest thing he could do, he tries to jump up and put Brock Lesnar in a rear naked choke. As he jumps up, Brock Lesnar ducks down, Austin Theory goes forward, and Austin Theory eats a suplex, then another one. Everyone else bails from the ring. F5 to Austin Theory. Everybody's out of the ring. He grabs Austin Theory's phone. does a selfie with Austin Theory, and then throws him down. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect Brock Lesnar knew what a selfie was, or knew how to do a selfie. Just going to say that right now. But there you go. Just an awful opening segment that just highlights how dumb they really are. How creatively bankrupt these guys are. And how goddamn annoying WWE is with things. Yes, the AEW did an opening promo segment on Wednesday night. But it was good. It was great. It helped further a storyline between MJF and CM Punk. This did nothing for nobody except show you that the only two people in the Elimination Chamber that actually fucking matter are Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. The other four competitors do not matter. Hell, for all I know, it's going to start off with Brock Lesnar versus Austin Theory at the beginning of the Elimination Chamber. Brock's going to hit an F5 on him and eliminate Austin Theory first. So, there's that. Street Profits are backstage hyping up tonight's show. Commercial-free first hour. They then say they have some business to take care of with the Dirty Dogs because they're up and they want the smoke, yada, yada, yada. So the Street Profits come to the ring to take on the Dirty Dogs. And who so happens to be on commentary but one Tommaso Ciampa. The reason Tommaso Ciampa is here is because last Tuesday on NXT 2.0, Dolph Ziggler made his presence known in that he wants to challenge Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship if Braun Breaker can get past Santos Escobar, of course. Tommaso Ciampa came out, kicked him in the face, and beat him to the back. And this is continuing, so I know Vengeance Day is tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if next week they have Tommaso Ciampa versus Dolph Ziggler back on the USA Network, because the USA Network is not where it's at this week. This week, they're still on Sci-Fi because the Olympics are not done until Sunday. On the 20th, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So, you knew how this was going to go. The match was okay. It was a short match. Pretty much, Dolph Ziggler comes out, and Ciampa just gets up. He's applauding. Dolph Ziggler acts as if he's going to kick Ciampa. Ciampa throws water in his face, and Ziggler goes down. Ford takes advantage of the distraction at ringside. Hits a big top rope splash to Rude. 1, 2, 3, and the Street Profits are your winners. After the match, the Profits stand tall. Ziggler super kicks Ciampa at ringside. Ford rolls out Ziggler back into the ring, but he rolls back to the floor, and Rude brings him to safety at ringside. Ciampa recovers at ringside as the Profits stand tall. And in the ring, and the Dirty Dogs look on from the ramp. So yeah. WWE is in panic mode all over the place. They're bringing Dolph Ziggler in. You know when it's gonna be like, when they're gonna really have the panic button going, when Roman Reigns makes his NXT return or 2.0 debut. When they bring Roman Reigns over to deal with an unruly NXT 2.0 person who's calling him out, that's when you know they are in full deep panic mode. They are not there yet because they went from AJ Styles to now Dolph Ziggler. But the moment they mention Roman Reigns is making a visit to NXT 2.0 or the Usos are coming on the behalf of Roman Reigns, you know that's when panic mode hits. That's when the USA Network is like, dude, you get these ratings up or you're off. Or NXT 2.0 is off and goes back onto Peacock and the WWE Network. Just saying. We see the Broker Party with all the losers from Carmella and Zelina Vega, Commander Aziz, Apollo Crews. They're all wearing togas. I don't even care. We see somewhere else in the arena, in the locker room, Randy Orton is by himself watching all this go down. Not too happy with his tag team partner making a fool of himself in this Broker Party. Kevin Patrick comes in and is like, why aren't you celebrating with your tag team partner? And Randy Orton's like, I'm not really a Broker type guy, and also I have a match tonight. In the main event, I have Seth Rollins, one of the most conniving, devious wrestlers out there. There's a reason they called him the architect for so many years, because he's always planning ahead. But by the end of the night, he's going to get hit with the 3 most dangerous letters in all of WWE. He's looking at the screen, disgusted, K, and sees something else, like, oh. So, Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see the breakup of the RK Bros very, very soon. Yes, it should be for a... Honestly, if Damien Priest is going to lose that U.S. title, because he did not lose it tonight, we'll talk about that in a second, he should lose it to Randy Orton and RKO, and you can have the bro... He should lose it to one of the RK Bros, and then they fight over the U.S. Championship. Yes, it should be the WWE title, but I don't see... Especially if they go with title for title, I don't see... RK Bro, either one of them getting close to the WWE Championship after the Elimination Chamber, which Matt Riddle is not winning. We get the Black History Month video of Hall of Famer Rocky Johnson, narrated by The Rock, that we saw on Friday. Good on them, but I'm not even going to go there. United States title match, AJ Styles versus Damien Priest. AJ Styles, of course, won the right to wrestle this match, or wrestle for the title, because he beat Damien Priest clean as a whistle. And as we know, Damien Priest has been on a 4-match losing streak. Before we have the match, we have footage of Owens recorded earlier tonight. He realized he won't be competing in the Elimination Chamber, which means he probably won't be at WrestleMania 38, which means he won't have to wrestle in Texas. He goes on about how much he hates Texas and everything related to it, just like he hates people from Indianapolis. He says, if North America was human body, Texas would be its ass. He laughs, mocks them in a caricature type way, and that is that. And therein lies WWE seeds for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes, the plan, it looks like, is for Kevin Owens to take on Stone Cold Steve Austin in a match at WrestleMania. Now, it could be a match, it could be a segment. Like I said a couple years ago, last time I think they were in Texas or whenever, Austin Foley and Michaels came out and they fought the League of Nations, and then Austin stunned, I believe, Xavier Woods. We could see something like that where Owens is out there crying and complaining that he didn't have a match, but he's fine because this place fucking sucks. All of that shit. And then Stone Cold comes out, Stone Cold beats him up, and Stone Cold stuns him, and that is that. That's where we could also see it happen. So, yes, it looks like Vince McMahon wants him to be Stone Cold Steve Austin to wrestle, but Vince McMahon doesn't always get what he wants. Maybe Austin's like, you know what, Vince, I don't want to have a match. I mean, between now and WrestleMania is like less than 30 days, or less than 40 days. So maybe he doesn't have enough. He feels like he doesn't have enough time to train to get the match, to have a proper match. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to come back just to have a half-assed match. If Stone Cold Steve Austin's coming back to have one more match, it's going to be the best damn match that he can give. So, if Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't feel like he's up to be able to do it, then Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to wrestle at WrestleMania. But is he going to get physical at WrestleMania against Kevin Owens? More than likely. Going back to the U.S. title match, it's AJ Styles, Damien Priest. It was a pretty good match. It was not much different than what they did last week, except the thing was, could Damien Priest learn from his mistakes and beat AJ Styles this week? They tangle on the mat. Priest throws up AJ Styles out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. It looked like AJ was trying to go for the cough crusher. It doesn't work, and Priest wins the match. Priest snaps his 4-match losing streak and gets his first official win, if I'm correct, of 2022. So, AJ offers to shake hands in the show respect. They do. Priest walks out of the ring, and that is that. AJ Styles, of course, is a babyface again. We get another vignette with Alexa Bliss and her therapist, and it looks like she's changing. Her appears to be closer to what she looked like before Lily. Bliss says for the first time in a while, life is amazing. The therapist presents Bliss with the leftover pieces of the original Lily as a gift to her so she can be at peace. Bliss starts to get some internal issues with seeing pieces of Lily. She's like, but she brings it together and smiles. The therapist holds up the Lily doll and says he has an idea. And we go to an NXT Vengeance Day promo. 2-on-1 handicap match. Omos gets to bury the Hurt Business, aka Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Can someone explain to me why they're still called the Hurt Business? Wasn't the Hurt Business MVP's idea? Wasn't the Hurt Business an MVP Bobby Lashley thing with them? Why are they allowed to be called the Hurt Business? Shouldn't MVP have a problem with them being called the Hurt Business? I don't get that at all. So, this was just your typical squash. The guys tried to fight him off. They got their asses beat. And Cedric Alexander and them got buried by Omos. Two guys who are former Raw Tag Team Champions. And they mentioned that multiple times that they are former Raw Tag Team Champions. More 24/7 stuff. Don't really care. Basically, the gist of it is, Reggie took Dana to a restaurant to, have a Valentine's Day date. When push comes to shove, she pretty much just friend zones, he's like, maybe we can be more than friends. She's like, nah, that's okay. And he's like, okay, bitch, fine. Rolls her up, 1, 2, 3, has the 24/7 championship. And Dana Brooke is left crying and heartbroken on Valentine's Day because, as R-Truth said, Cupid doesn't love the friend zone. Bitch. I added that. Yeah. Not a big fan of the 24/7 stuff. Don't really think it needs to happen anymore. It's time to get rid of that garbage. But just something about seeing a bitch get owned on a Valentine's Day by somebody she friend zoned just warms my heart just a little bit. Fuck Valentine's Day. No, Cupid doesn't like the friend zone. So, we have Adam Pearce in the ring to do a contract signing for the Raw Women's Championship match at the pay-per-view. Lita comes out. She's all good. She's happy. She's smiling. She's doing her thing. Apparently, she borrowed Renee Paquette's clothes to appear on Monday Night Raw, so it looks like what she's wearing again. She comes in. She's sitting down, ready for Becky Lynch, and you expect Becky to come out and be her normal self. No. Becky comes out, sunglasses on. She looks a little disheveled, like, not her normal self. Like, literally looks like she just got the shit beat out of her. And she's trying to hide everything that's wrong with her. She comes to the ring. And she's just, like, Lita's, like, paid, like, Pierce is like, you know what happens? You know the deal. Sign the contract, 2 signatures, match is official. And Becky's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. The fact that I haven't slept all week because she can't think about how her teenage idol came to her after her this close to WrestleMania. How her teenage idol assaulted her last week. She will let it slide if Lita doesn't sign. She says they don't want to fight each other. The only ones that wants to see them fight are these demented people who get off ruining people's lives. She says she and Lita don't need to play these games. Lita asks the fans what they think, and goes on and says she's not just in this for the match. She's in for a whole run left, a championship run at that. Lita says Lynch saw last week that she has what it takes to beat her, and she can look like it or not. But the match is happening, signs the contract, Lynch sees and says Lita is pushing her to a point she can't come back from. You have no idea what she will do to keep that title on her shoulder. She has studied Lita's career, and Lita is going to make her go for her neck. And she threatens Lita some more, but signs the contract. Lita brings up how Lynch just said there would be no Becky Lynch without Lita. And if she had a hand in creating this, then it's on her to end it. Talks about the title on Saturday, and Lynch throws the contract at her, takes her title, holds her head low, and makes her exit. Lita stands tall and plays to the crowd as the music starts back up. Now, I know Alexa Bliss has been added to the Elimination Chamber. Later on in a bit, it's official. I still could see a scenario where WWE has Lita win the Women's Championship. Becky, because they want Becky to be this heel, fucks Liv Morgan out of her spot, old Edge to Kofi Kingston style, beats her up, takes her spot in the Elimination Chamber, wins the Elimination Chamber, and then goes to WrestleMania to face Lita in a rematch. I'm not saying any of this is ever going to happen because WWE did make it official that the 6th participant is going to be Alexa Bliss later on. But there's just this part of me that's like, they really could if they wanted to, because it would be a big marquee match for them to have the rematch between Lita and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania and figure out a way to get Becky Lynch into the Elimination Chamber and have Becky Lynch win the Elimination Chamber going to WrestleMania to face Lita in a rematch. Now, of course, this all depends on when the Women's Championship and the Elimination Chamber matches happen. If the Elimination Chamber match happens first, then Lita loses, obviously. If the Elimination Chamber match happens after the Raw Women's title match, it wouldn't surprise me if Liv Morgan, who is a sentimental favorite to a lot of people to win and be the Women's Champion by the end of 2022, gets beat up by Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch takes her spot in whatever pod she's supposed to be in and wins the Elimination Chamber. I could see it happening. If you don't say you can see it happening, then I don't know what you're thinking, but it could happen. The Vince McMahon wants that big marquee match. Why not? Becky versus Bianca is not as big as what Bianca and Sasha Banks did last year. It was the first ever women's singles match in main event in WrestleMania history. So, and other cultural things and everything, Becky versus Bianca is not going to be as big of a match as Sasha versus Bianca was last year. So I could easily see Becky losing the title because her cheating ways backfired on her. Lita's smarter than that. Lita gets a small token title run going into WrestleMania, taking the title into WrestleMania, which I don't think she ever did in her original run. Going to WrestleMania, facing Becky Lynch, and Becky wins the championship back after screwing Liv Morgan out of her spot in the Elimination Chamber. They can go, well, Lynch can complain, Liv can complain to management. Management, okay, well, Becky versus Liv on a Monday Night Raw. If Liv wins, then it's a triple threat match. If Liv loses, then it's a one-on-one. Or whatever. I'm just throwing all these scenarios that Vince McMahon, I'm pretty sure, has been thinking about. Because before the matches go in air, there's going to be change after change after change after change. Instead of having the entire Elimination Chamber show ironed out and finished right now. They could have it all ironed out and ready to set in stone, and Vince McMahon's like, nah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this instead. I don't put it past Vince McMahon to change. I don't put it past Vince McMahon to change the order of the show, the winners of the show, outside of Roman Reigns, of course, and everything else 7 times at least between the flight from the United States to Saudi Arabia. That's just how Vince McMahon is with his changing things. We'll have to wait and see. We had a women's gauntlet match. Here's the women's match, the gauntlet match. Rhea beat Nikki Trash. She beat Liv Morgan. She beat Piper Niven. And she beat Bianca Belair. And she faced Bianca Belair and lost to Bianca Belair. So Bianca Belair is the 6th and final participant to enter the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Also, that's another one that you can look at too. If the Elimination Chamber match for the women goes on after the Raw Women's title match, Lita wins, Becky destroys either Liv Morgan or Bianca Belair. Destroying Bianca Belair would be the better one for Becky, because that would make her the 6th entrant into the match. And then she wins the Elimination Chamber. And there's so many scenarios, and I'm sure all of this crossed Vince McMahon's mind at one time or another. Belair wins. She hugs Rhea Ripley, raises her hand, all that good shit, and that was that. Nothing special. The entire time during the gauntlet match, it felt like the crowd just did not give a shit. It sounded like they woke up a bit for Bianca versus Rhea, but when Rhea Ripley was out there fighting Piper Niven, Nikki Trash, and even Liv Morgan, they were dead silent. Nobody cared. And that's bad. That's on Vince McMahon, that's on Bruce Pritchard, that's on John Laurinaitis, that's on everybody in Vince McMahon's team not giving the women's division any chance to do anything outside of the 4 horsewomen and Ronda Rousey. Toga party's happening backstage. The Alpha Academy beat up Matt Riddle and say enough of this shit and move on. Speaking of that, Raw Tag Team Champions, the Alpha Academy versus Mysterio. It's funny this one was not called a Championship Contenders match, because we already have Championship Contenders, but we don't know when that match is going to happen. It's the Alpha Academy versus the Mysterios. Of course, the Mysterios, the whole R-Truth, Dana Brooke, and all that other shit happened. Don't really care. Yeah. We got Raw Tag Team Champion Matt come out. Odin and Chad Gable, they insult the people of Indiana and welcome us to the first public assembly. Gable goes on about how he's never needed to cheat to accomplish anything. And goes on about ranting about the Cheetos and OK Bro and the Mysterios. He shows the fact that Mysterio, like Ray, helped his son Dominic win by cheating, which it was. And then the Miz and Maurice come out for commentary. We had the match. The match was fine. It wasn't nothing special. Just, I mean, what else can you say? And Miz was on commentary. He's pissed off that the Mysterios are double teaming Chad Gable. He goes to stop this. He gets beat up. He gets taken out by Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio takes him down. Dominic gets rolled up with the tights. 1, 2, 3. And Gable and Otis celebrate after the match. Mysterios get taken out by the Miz as Dominic gets sent to the outside, and Miz ends up hitting Rey Mysterio with a skull-crushing finale. And they celebrate with a kiss and all of that. Oh boy, don't care. So, Alexa Bliss is in the therapist's office. The doc says she is cured, at least as cured as she's going to be, and he says she'll be fine as long as Lily is by her side. She says Lily is gone, she no longer has her. But he informs her that the real Lily stuffing, the remaining stuffing, has been put inside a replica of her. It says as long as Lily is near, Bliss will be cured and can live a happy life. Bliss thanks the doc and shakes his hand, and he has him shake Lily's hand. Bliss goes to leave, stops and tells Lily that apparently she's cured. Lastly says she's going to the Elimination Chamber on Saturday and announces, and the graphic confirms she is the final Elimination Chamber entrant. Was it always going to be Alexa Bliss? More than likely. I mean, there was talk that there was 9 segments taped for this therapy thing, and it does feel like they just rushed to get it done. Like they forgot, oh shit, we still have somebody left in the Elimination Chamber, so let's go with this instead. Randy Orton vs. Seth Rollins. This match was your main event. Back for break, the announcers go over the Elimination Chamber card. The Miz vs. Rey Mysterio is announced, and I'm like, thank God it's on Saturday and not at WrestleMania. Mysterio deserves a better match than that. Randy Orton vs. Seth Rollins. What can I say about these two? They had themselves a pretty damn good match here. Randy Orton actually hits the RKO at the end of the match. Goes for the cover. Out come the Alpha Academy. Randy Orton is distracted. Matt Riddle comes out, attacks the Alpha Academy for what happened earlier. Randy Orton, dumb babyface syndrome and all, goes out to help his partner. He comes back in. They beat up the Alpha Academy. Comes back in, eats a stomp. Seth Rollins takes his time and pins him. 1, 2, 3. And the Elimination Chamber show goes off the air with Seth Rollins standing tall as he goes in with a little bit of momentum into the Elimination Chamber. Now, I'm loving what they're doing with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has just been... This is the best run of Brock Lesnar's career in WWE. I'm going to say that right now. Just since he's been back with the whole tied head and everything, he's just been fucking amazing. And the show will suffer when he's gone. Plain and simple. What happens at the Elimination Chamber? I really do not care. I really do not care. All I know is... It looks like we're going in... Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are both favored to walk out of the Elimination Champions as champions, so it looks like we're going to get champion versus champion. Yeah, I don't care. Monday Night Raw is going to suffer big time. When Brock Lesnar, they need to do champion versus champion and end the brand split because Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are the only 2 guys in this fucking company that matter. Bobby Lashley only matters for now until he drops that championship to Brock Lesnar in the Elimination Chamber, and then it'll just be another number. I don't know why that is going on. But, yeah, Monday Night Raw, it was what it was. Damien Priest has lost a lot of momentum since they changed his gimmick. Instead of being the guy he was when he won the championship, the nightlife guy, caught women, drinks, jacuzzis, all that stuff, now he's Mr. Jekyll and Hyde. He's lost so much momentum. They changed his awesome theme into whatever the fuck he's using now. And him being the United States champion, I was really shocked that he kept the title tonight. I thought he was for sure going to lose to AJ Styles. And AJ Styles would have walked into the Elimination Chamber as champion. But No. Who the fuck knows what they're going to do with the United States Championship at WrestleMania? We have no indications what's going on there. But yeah, that is Monday Night Raw. It was a meh show. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the Frowns Club. Find me on twitch.tv/thefrownsclub, and find me on Instagram at the Frowns Club. And I will see you guys on Wednesday for real good professional wrestling in AEW on TBS. Until then, my name is Frowns, and I'll see you guys later.